The sixth season of the GT Sprint Challenge has been anything but predictable. Through 4 rounds this season, we've had 4 different winners, and none of them are occupying the top 2 spots in the championship today. What will a rain-soaked Paul Ricard do for the championship? We can only wait and find out as we enter the penultimate round of the championship. Hello, everybody, and welcome. As always, I'm Jesse Lee, and joined by special guest Ted Edwards through the miracle of circumstances. And of course, as per usual, Stewie behind the cameras. Ted, welcome into Friday.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. This is a bit weird. It's a day before than I normally commentate, but I'm happy to be here.
Basically, we're bringing a little bit of night owl flair here on a Friday evening. And well, what a race, what a championship we have for you. We were talking prior to going live tonight about some of the things that have been going on in this championship, mentioned briefly as well. And I wasn't kidding, folks. 4 races so far, 4 different winners. None of them are in the top couple of spots in the championship. Consistency has been key. We'll, of course, show you the points at the conclusion of qualifying. But let's get down to the task at hand. We are at Paul Ricard. Love it or hate it, we have an additional monkey wrench thrown into the works today. It is quite wet out there.
No, I don't think I've seen a wet Paul Ricard in a long time, Jesse. So I'm pretty looking forward to today's race. I haven't been following too much on the Friday, but I've looked at the standings and they're looking a bit juicy. So I know a lot of these guys in here are pretty fast guys compared to some of our night owl stuff we have. We have some fast guys in there, so this is a different pace for me. Seeing a lot of the faster guys in this split, but yeah, I'm looking forward to a wet Paul Ricard.
Well, of course, a big welcome into our audience as well. It was lovely chatting with you prior to the start of the broadcast today. We are glad that you're with us on your Friday evening, and we promise you 60 minutes of racing. And might we get a 5th different winner, Ted Edwards?
Well, that would be pretty cool to see. You know, a different winner every race. It's better than someone running away with all the wins. So it takes points off of whoever is leading in the championship. So yeah, it's just something different to see, which you don't really see that often in championships, where you have a different winner every race. So yeah, some exciting stuff to watch.
Talk about our championship leader, Joe McCauley. He's done everything this season but win a race. It's hard to believe that we made it this far with how good the 123 has been, that they just haven't been able to close the deal. They've sat on the pole. They've had the fastest lap in the races, but they've only finished second. They've exclusively finished second. No car has finished second in this championship other than Joe McCauley, albeit the 3rd round, of course, where McCauley wasn't here. So wow, the incredible consistency has found McCauley at the top of the scoring pylon, Ted.
Yeah, Joshua Allen was the one who got second in that race. It was the Bolton Park race. So yes, yeah, Joe McCauley having all the seconds basically, and Caracas having all the thirds, 53 points for each round, which quite surprising to see, and yeah, I think that's pretty cool to see. And we see Caracas going a bit backwards there, and reverse entry into that corner is not the best thing you want to do in a race. Probably drifting, Jesse, but yeah, not in a race.
It's pretty much what you're going to see as we count down the final seconds of practice. You talked a little bit about Grantes Caracas. That's absolutely correct. Caracas has every single round 4 third-place finishes. It's great to have that consistency. It's great to walk away with a trophy after every round. But I'm going to tell you from personal experience, Ted, I'm sure you'll agree with this as well. As good as finishing 3rd is, you eventually start to tire of being 3rd fiddle.
Yeah, because you know you can get that 2nd or 1st place, so just have to see how the Porsche goes tonight. Obviously, it's not the greatest on a straight, as long as this is here at Paul Ricard, but have to wait and see as we now head into a 10-minute of qualifying on board with Silver Lions. So.
Well, this is Paul Ricard after all. The kingdom is in horsepower. and we'll see who does the best of that. Savalainen gets the number one pit box, as they often try to do. Salvo does that all the time. They want to be the first one in the server to get the number one pit stall, I think specifically for this reason, just to make sure that they get a clean run out of the pit lane. And they don't always achieve that. Sometimes they get beaten, but more often than not, it is Juna Savalainen getting the job done. Looks like Rose has a second box as they're out there as well, one of our race winners this season. Well, time will tell what kind of lap times they'll do. This is as good as mine, Ted. I'm not entirely sure with the rain that we have what we can expect around this race course. There's a lot of medium speed corners. Usually you have to slow down in those type of corners to get around, obviously with the treaded Pirelli tire.
Yeah, first and third sectors, the ones where all the downforce is going to count, and you know, you won't really, you know, it's the fast hand corners like coming off the main straight. You got this corner here, which is where the downforce hits in, and the slower corners is about how much tire grip you have, obviously because it's slower, but that's where the Porsche I would think would be better around the corners, and then obviously on the straights you've got the M4. I don't know if there's any M6s, but you got the Mercedes, and I guess Bentleys would be pretty good, and with the Lamborghini as well. I can see there's one on there, Max Payne, familiar name I see. So yeah, it's one of them where it's quite a balanced track. If you can get that first sector pretty well in a Porsche, and you're okay for straight, and then yeah, third sector you're pretty good. So see what happens.
Well, for those of you unfamiliar with Paul Ricard, let's take a lap on board with Savalainen's car. You go as far as right as you dare before you get to turn one, a nice uphill S-complex. It's slower than it looks, so you have to slow down more than you should. And of course, you have to impede the very dangerous pit out. After that section, we're going to go basically the same turn in reverse, a right left. It's going to get tight here. You don't usually get all the way back to the throttle before you have to choke it down and get as far to the right as possible onto that curb. Otherwise, you'll end up going wide. You can invalidate by going wide there, even ever so slightly, around the medium corner there and onto the incredibly long straight here. And well, folks, we're going to be here a while. Ted Edwards, tell us a story in the meantime. Wake me up when we get there.
I've seen a big crash happen here before in ACC, which was pretty scary. I bounced to the right, come across the track, and almost took me out. So yeah, pretty scary.
I've been involved in one myself in a GT4 race. The track was completely blocked. Now, everybody wake up. We're at the end of the straight. The sweeping right-hander, you can cut here as long as you're inside those little indicators that let you know when you have to be back on the track. It doesn't matter how wide you go before then, as long as you get back on. A cambered, very nice banked corner. You can pick up a lot of speed or keep a lot of speed through that section, but you always want to make sure you hit the apex. Keep yourself from going wide. Very slow through here and as quickly back onto the throttle as you humanly can, because this section is where the money is made. There's another straight up here, but before that, a left-hander, and then you want to stay as far left as possible. A lot of rookies make the mistake. They choke down on the 90 right to end the course, and that was expertly taken by Savalainen. I didn't see any obvious invalidation, and what will this lap be? It will be a 2:01.945, and that will immediately be beat by Honor Rose, a 2:01.507.
M4 showing strength around here compared to the Mercedes, so that could just be Silverline didn't get an amazing lap that he wanted, or Rose just blew him out of the water, literally. So you have to see if Silverline can improve on his next lap. I guess everyone else will improve as well. You know, his first lap coming out the pit, first flying lap, should I say. You know, get those temperatures up. Wets take a little bit longer sometimes. You have to get that right pressure, get it right in there, just so you can get all the grip you can. Too far under and you start bogging down on the exits, and too much and you start going a bit wide with the understeer. So just have to see what happens. And I already see Jesse McCauley's a 2:09, just moving Anna Rose off the top spot right there. That's half a second. That's brilliant in the Audi there.
That's the car I think we're all looking at. We're looking at Joe McCauley. That was the first of the quick laps, in my opinion, a 2 dead .954. Again, climbs, comes across the line, 2 seconds, 7 for them. And that will take some doing to get some more time on the board. That might have been just a safe lap. I don't think Joe McCauley has ever set a safe lap in his life. I think he only knows one speed go, and that's exactly what he's doing. I think everybody else might have taken a little bit easy. Now, this is interesting. I thought about this a moment ago. We saw Savalainen come and set a lap, and then Rose beat them by a few tenths. Could that have been a little bit of drafting? I suspect it might have been, and they've had that this lap as well. First of all, look for Savalainen to hit the line. They're nearly a second off of McCauley's time. We expect an improvement from Savalainen, but I don't think we got that. But what we did get was a massive improvement from Rose, a 201.045. That's just about 1/10 out of pole.
Yeah, that's extremely close, and amazing lap by Rose there in the M4. So amazing. What can Caracas do? Not got time yet. Fifth. So yeah, half a second, almost 6 tenths off. So that's not too bad. Poor Savalainen there having to let everyone go using a different pit exit there. But yeah, Caracas. I think Caracas can get a good lap down. It's just a straight with the Porsche. Sort of lets it down a little bit, especially in the wet. You know, you've got to put a bit more downforce on and lift the car a bit to get over the wet surface. But it's sort of a dry line, I can see. We've got 3 minutes left as well, so people could probably get 2 laps in if they're lucky. If they cross the line now, they get another lap or so. So yeah, it's a big difference in times with from like first and third. There's quite a big gap there, and it's like half a tenth between third and fourth, almost a tenth between fourth and fifth. So it's sort of close, but I want to see it closer, Jesse. I want to see these really fast lap times come out.
Well, it might do here in a few moments. The final minutes of qualifying, 2 minutes 20 left to go. And make no mistake, this track is still very wet. There may be a drier line, but there's still water on it, and it's raining quite decently, I would say. Track is still wet, as you can see in the top right corner of the screen. McCauley leads the session, a 2-minute 9:57 mark. Everybody is trying to beat. Max Payne in the 9:66 coming into sector 3 to complete another lap. They will get another lap regardless. And on top of all of that, do bear in mind, apologies to Savalainen earlier, didn't think that they ran a quicker lap. There was a glitch on my timing and scoring that faked me out, but that car has gone and did go earlier into P3. The top 3, nobody's beat them so far. Max Payne, though, in a Lamborghini, the highest of the Lamborghinis, potentially the only Lamborghini in today's race, already inside the top 10, looking to do more damage here.
Yeah, I just seen a time for Caracas. They got 2:01, but that was invalidated. Unfortunately, he's really flying. So that Porsche just showing us that yeah, just have the time. He just needs to keep it within track limits, and he'll easily get what, second at the minute. So second or third. So we just have to keep an eye on him. He has got another lap. He's just died coming onto the back on the main straight, should I say? The big long straight, as you can see on the track map there. Verstappen hasn't set a lap time, I've seen as well. I just noticed that. So I think it's just been invalidating. He had done 3 laps in the Bentley 747. I know Verstappen is quite quick. Just have to see what he can do. 12th at the minute, second off. So 2:02:017. Have to just gone back to the pit. So he won't be doing another lap. So that is him saying, "Yep, I'm done for the time being. I'm gonna see what's on straight." Caracas. He's on a merry-go-round.
Caracas here trying to get everything in the Porsche, getting on the curbs. The curbs are very wet. The opposite lock back the other way at signs, and that undid their effort. Like you said earlier, that could have been a top 3, maybe even a front row starting spot for Caracas. The speed is in the 19, but unfortunately will not get an opportunity to show it here today. Martin Lawrence, one of the cars coming or still on a lap rather that's not immediately coming to the line. This is here at the first sector before you get to the Mistral Straight. All is going well for Martin Lawrence here. Looks like they're looking to pick up. They're going to have to pick up to the better part of a quarter of a second to get past some of the cars in front of them. Now, saw Bastida actually drop them down to P12, but several cars coming to the line. Savaline and one of them, they went to third. They were bumped back to fourth and now back to third. A 201.2 dead for Savalainen, and that was a very nice lap. Rose comes to the line unable to beat their current time or trouble Joe McCauley. Several other cars rimballed in P6 currently. Really everybody else inside the top 10 in to the pit lane, but not Martin Lawrence. The connection loss driver is more than half a second up, and that would put them inside the top 10, somewhere around 7th place. And now he's gone and done it, just like so many others, invalidated the lap, and this is going to be a frustration trip to the wall.
Yeah, that was unlucky from Martin there, but there's always the race. So where is Martin starting? Down in 13. So yeah, it sucks, but at least you're not starting from the back. Pretty sure Martin can, get a good position in the race. Just have to wait and see.
Well, here is the results of qualifying. Joe McCauley on pole had the quickest first and third sector. Anal Rose will take the outside pole position. Savaline and Payne the next row. Ivanov, Rimbald, Caracas, Barnett, Keys, and Willamont your top 10. But look at Giorgio Magazzi. Had the quickest second sector of all. And folks, that is the Mistral Straight on the back half of the circuit. And the Honda is quick in a straight line. And well, you don't need me to tell you that. Just look at that sector 2 time.
Yeah, I knew the Honda was fast, but I didn't know it was that fast here.
It is super quick anywhere you go, but that is a very long straight, the Mistral Straight. And that's basically the entirety of Sector 2. Well, we opened today's show. We talked a little bit about the points, but take a closer look at what the championship looks like as we enter the back half of the championship, or the back few couple of races. Round 5 of 6 today. Take a look of how we got here. Joe McCauley, 188 points. Finished in second place 3 out of the 4 races. In the one race he didn't finish second in, he was not in attendance, so they've already used their drop round. Gratis Caracas, as Ted Edwards said earlier, 159 points. They finished third in all 4 races ran thus far. Incredible consistency. You'll notice neither of our top 2 drivers have won a race, but that honor is with Honor Rose. Won one of the rounds this season, 156 points. Definitely still in this fight. Hugo Merrill's 153 P4, and Savalainen rounds out your top 5 with 151. Very close stuff throughout this top 10. Albin Bouquet in 6th place, 149. Ivanov, 126. Allen, 123. Martin Lawrence, 112. Ben Keys in that GTR, a fan favorite, with 86, rounds out your top 10. Behind them, don't think it gets any easier. In fact, it might be a little bit more difficult. Dario Barzaghi in 11th place with 72 points. Rafael Malo, who is not in the field tonight, with 70 points. Thomas Jack on 65. Daniele Riccatelli on 62. Paladke with 54 points. Benedetti on 49. Wouter Billen, 42. Ibiata, 39, tied with Jeet. And in 20th place, the Tidge, Martin Grady with 38. Outside the top 20, Mazzola with 36. Rimbald on 33, tied with Rudy Philmalter. Christoph Verstreppen with 31. Nicholas Keller on 26. Magazzi tied with Bastida for 25 apiece. Jan Klimes on 23. Grant Willamont 22. And Barnett with 19. And of course, we get to the end. Kurbanov with 12. Max Payne has no points thus far in the championship, and everyone with a dash has retired champion. Well, what's at stake here, Tom? Let's just make it very clear to the audience watching abroad. Well, it's so close up front that if Joe McCauley were to finish fifth place today and Rose were to win the race, Rose would be your championship leader because Joe used his drop round as a sign out, which means that he would get absolutely no points regardless. And using a drop round in the mid part of the season means that he has to be perfect to the end of this championship. Any minor mistake is going to drop him down, especially with how close it is. It's 19 points between first and second. Caracas only needs to stay consistent to have a shot to win this next week. Everybody else has a shot behind them as well. But could today be the day Joe McCauley finally wins a race here in the GT Sprint Challenge?
We'll have to wait and see, Jesse. He can do it. We know he's fast. It's just can he not get drive through for track limits? Can he not mess up his pit stop? Can he just keep the car going and stick in first? So yeah, it's hard work, but we just have to wait and see. And I'm liking the look of this grid, Jesse, with all these different cars.
Yeah, it's very nice grid. Did I just call you Tom?
Yes, you did.
I'm thinking about Tom. I do apologize. I mean, I'm not on. It's not wrong. Not wrong. We do call you Ted around here, but yeah, lovely grid of cars, smaller than we've seen all season thus far. We were closer to 30 cars, only the 22 taking the challenge today. Some of those might be summer plans. Some of those might be because of the track's reputation. It is not uncommon to see smaller grids here. I've worked many events over the years, and I can tell you from experience, a lot of times we get to the Paul Ricard round and there's less cars, and it's no mystery why that might be. Wolf Matushka was in our chat to start the race off earlier, or start the stream off, I should say. Wolf Matushka actually likes this place. Don't know what's wrong with him, but no, Paul Ricard is a brilliant racetrack. It's definitely unique, I think we could all say.
Yeah, it's a different track from most of them that we have on ACT. You've got Sector 1 and 3, like I said before, it's more of a Porsche, Audi, Lamborghini sort of territory with the corner in that. There's probably some other cars in there as well. And then obviously you got the big straight, I'll call it, which is good for your Lamborghini's pretty good, Audi's pretty good on there. You got M4s, you got your Mercedes and and I forgot the name. Jesse. The other car.
Well, that's completely fine because I forgot who you were for a second too. But you've got so many different cars inside the top 10. You've got a GTR in there as well. I think the GTR, of course, is the fan favorite. Ben Keys carrying the torch for the majority of us. That car is no slouch in a straight line as well. The Honda, what is that car going to be able to do? Do some serious damage, I imagine, here on the Mistral Straight the first time through, you would think at least, gaining at least a couple positions. Folks, that Honda is, well, to put it in American terms, it's stupid fast.
Yeah, I remember driving it before we had the big 1.8 update, and it is fun to drive, and yeah, it's just a speed machine on the straights. It's pretty good round corners as well. Not sure how it is now in the 1.8 update that we had a few months ago, but still a quick car, as we see from where we set the second sector, was it Magatsi? So yeah, we'll have to see how that car does in few laps of racing against these other cars. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be a good night. I want to see where Max Payne ends up in the Lamborghini, because we don't see many Lamborghinis take part in the championships. So I want to see where a Lambo ends up. Hopefully near the front.
I will tell you, nobody has entered the M6 BMW that they could enter in this championship, and that's a shame, because you want to talk about cars that are good in a straight line. The M6, I've been told by fellow commentator Ryan Mawson that car is unreal in a straight line. It's just unfair in some regards, but none of those cars, no M6s in the field as far as I could tell. This is going to be a mixed up start. Wolf actually brought up a good point. He defended himself. Not that he had to defend himself, but he defended his enjoyment of this racetrack because it is a track where you can make passes and get passes done. Well said, and I think that's what we're going to see today. Well, what will we see from Joe McCauley and Honora Rose? Honora Rose has bested several of, if not every driver in the field except Joe McCauley. Honora Rose's win came on the week that Joe McCauley wasn't in the field.
Coincidence?
I don't think so. I think Honora would have won that race regardless. Personally, that's just my opinion, though.
We'll just have to see as a second to last corner here, Jesse. We're about to get onto the main straight, ready for the start. I want to say, I want to say Max Payne can get top 3.
Wow, Max Payne potentially in the top 3 in the 966. But here we go. McCauley and Rose, Savalainen, Payne, Ivanov, and the like. It's a dead heat down the straight, maybe a little bit better for Joe McCauley down the inside, pulling just clear. Maybe not. Trying to get in front of Rose, will do before we get to turn 1. They fan out 3, 4, maybe 5 wide. Near contact with Martin Lawrence there as they just about get it sorted. 3 wide, oh, and a couple of cars off, and it's going to be calamity in the mid-pack.
Oh, I saw one car spin off, Jesse, and then I turned around and looked back, and there's quite a few cars around. I wonder who started that mess there, but
don't know. The 747 was involved in that, and I don't know if the 747 was the car that got spun back in front of the field, but one car certainly did, and they collected several more. But that was pretty much what you expect. Very close stuff, very low visibility. And, well, it did go wrong, but luckily everybody is able to continue. Now's as good a time as any to welcome in our stewards, who will be taking a look at the start of that race. While they do that, Benedetti, the rear view between Lawrence and Phil Malter here. Actually, no, that's Lawrence and, actually, no. No, that was right. That was Phil Malter and Lawrence.
And he just took 2 cars on one. Oh, and
no!
Oh, he took 2 cars. Ooh. And we just have to wait and see, because it might be contact, but I'm not too sure from that camera angle. But as I was saying, he took 2 cars, and that's pretty good. I haven't driven the new Audi, so I'm not sure how quick it is. I know a lot of people say it's pretty quick, and I know Tom Bright's been driving in it, so yeah.
Well, we've just had it handed down to us. The stewards have decided, due to the sheer amount of cars involved in that crash, that there will be a race restart. And this is somewhat of a rarity. Only the 4th time this year that I have been aware that this has happened. I didn't know it could have went either way on that one, Ted. They've elected to do it. And generally speaking, the way that it works is that if a majority or the biggest part of the minority get involved in a crash on the opening lap, they do elect to do that. And on this occasion, they have elected to try and go for a cleaner restart. This will be the only restart. They will be told to keep it a bit cleaner, be a little bit more easy this time. But, wow, a restart here completely changes the complexion of this one.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a restart. I've seen many races where we have, a little bit of a contact between a few cars, like we've just seen there, but whoever it is head steward tonight, I think it is Glenn, decided that need a race restart on this one, as there was too many cars. But they didn't seem that far back. Normally when you see something like that, they're quite far behind, a few corners, but they seemed, when they got to the straight, everyone was on the straight at the same time. They covered the whole straight, but yeah, it's one of them. And apparently that contact, it was contact with Fulmar at the end of the straight. So yeah, that was a contact. So I think Fillmore is pretty pleased to have a restart after spinning out at the end of the straight there. But yeah, it was
Do do bear in mind that everything that happened in that initial start is still liable for any accident they were involved in. That does not give you a golden ticket. This is not Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. So whomever set off that turn 2 crash still responsible for that. And the contact at the end of the Mistral Straight, that is still reviewable and likely will be reviewed either at some point during the race, or if they don't have time, they will review that post race for the initial start. So no golden ticket, no get out of jail free card. All of that's still liable, but the stewards have decided that they would rather restart the race in the hopes of having a clean start rather than have about, I would say, just under half the field have damage.
Yeah, it's we only have 22 cars here today, which is a shame. Obviously, people got real world commitments, and things pop up in everyday life. So we've got 22 cars, and the stewards just want to see 22 cars race each other rather than having 5 cars at a time or something like that race each other. So I think it is a good call, especially for the drivers. A lot of them got damage, and don't want to be too far away from other people. I've been in a race where I've either been span out or just on my own racing because other people have been taken out, and it's just you sort of sit there for 50 minutes driving on your own, like, well, this is fun. So I think it is a good call. The stewards do make their good calls. I trust them. I trust them with our racing and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good call. But I'm hoping for a clean turn 1 and turn 2 because they went 4 wide at the back of the pack there, and that was pretty sketchy. I don't want to see that again there, Jesse.
Well, the crash for me happened up in front of what I thought was going to be the accident. I saw somebody back out to keep from spinning the CLR car of Martin Lawrence, and I thought that was very nice. And they all got through that, and I thought, oh well, they're being very nice and accommodating. And then I looked up in front, and there was several cars off, one of which got spat back into the line of cars and created the carnage there. But never the mind, that has been erased from a damage standpoint. Like I said, they'll still review that whenever they get the chance. But for now, it is a do-over. Nobody has damage. Nobody's race impacted by that incident. And now we rejoin you as we start our second parade lap of the day. Honora Rose did get beat by Macaulay off of the line, but Rose was still right on the back of Macaulay's car and had somebody else in tow. I don't know if that was the EMG or the Lamborghini. I don't recall, but certainly had one of the two of them with them.
It was the AMG and then the Lamborghini. So
they were all together.
Yeah, they were there. The 4 of them were together. I don't know if anyone was close to the Lamborghini behind. I wasn't paying much attention. But that Audi has so much speed. I haven't driven it yet, surprisingly, but Tom Bryant and his team racing the World Tour in it, and when they did the 24-hour Spa, and they were flying. Like, it was such a fast car, and no, I was quite surprised because I've driven the Evo 1, if you like, and it's fast, but I guess I didn't get the setup right, or just didn't know how to drive the car properly, but. Yeah, it's a pretty quick car, so quite nice as well. I like the rear wing on that thing now. It's different.
Well, if you had a good start to race number 1, you're a little frustrated that the race was restarted. But if you are one of the cars in the mid pack or back who had their race completely turned upside down, then you're a big fan of this because now you know you get another shot at doing the start. In my mind, the top 3 and 4, I thought that was about as perfect as that could have been for every single one of them. And they'll be looking to replicate that start. Macaulay off the start, able to just sneak in front of Rose in time for turn number 1. And then also the train in the top 4 following each other around for the first couple of laps before we got the restart. That bode very well for everyone in that pack. For raceability, the weather not impacting them whatsoever. But like you, hey, look, you did it once as your crew chief, Ted. Look, you did it once. I just need you to do it for me one more time.
Easier said than done, though, Jesse. You know, they've done the first start, as if you like, and people know what other people are gonna do. So is that going to play into effect that people are going to take a different line? Are they going to defend differently into the first corner? Are they just going to take a different line through the first two corners and onto the back straight, or what are they going to do? Because you know they've seen how people have done the first half of the track. They're gonna change their ways for this second start.
A big exhale from all the drivers. They will have had time to make an adjustment as well. There's no parc fermé here. Will have been allowed to make adjustments, just like you were allowed to do after qualifying. If there was something in those opening laps that they didn't like about their cars, if any of these drivers wanted to change something, they are able to do that and keep their starting spot. And some of the cars dropped quite late, I was noticing. They might have been doing exactly that. Ted, doing a restart in a race like this, get your nerves up a little bit more than the initial start would have done?
I think for these drivers, no, but for me, a little bit more, just because you've got to do the restart again. It's that first lap of I need to get my tyres warm on the formation. They're not warm enough, or they're not pressure enough that you like. I struggle through the first bit of the track, then you've got the long straight, which cools tyres down. You don't really want to go through that again on Paul Ricard, but you know, these are some of our top drivers in this championship, so I don't think they'll be that bad.
Well, I think of it like football. If you scored a goal in your last match and you're in the starting 11 for the next one, there's always that extra pressure to do it again. I think you can relate that to racing as well. You had a great start and you have a restart. You're always pressuring yourself to have another start. But here we go again. Restart number 2, Electric Boogaloo. Joe McCauley and Rose out front, and Savalainen, Payne, Ivanov, Rimbaud behind. And it's a way better start for the front two. And I think McCauley's going to get clear again, but only just. Fighting back into the middle of the pack. A look around the outside, can't do it. It's going to think about going up the inside, but the front two clear. Second and third and fourth, rather, are still side by side. And here was the trouble area in the initial start. It looks like almost everybody getting through there 2 by 2 this time without any further action.
We made it, Jesse. No, they did that so much better this time. You know, only going 2 wide, so got to get the rest of the first lap done. You know, we always like to curse and stuff, but so far so good. Some cars going wide there, but staying on the track. Now, where is it? I see McCauley's got 4/10 gap to Rose, but obviously Rose has a slipstream. That's what I can see from Deltas. Martin Lawrence in 11th. He's gone up a few positions. I think he's gone up 2 positions from qualifying. Got a little train going on there, Jesse.
Everybody hold your breath as we exit the Mistral Straight. Oh, thinking about going 3 wide. You don't want to be that far down to the inside here. As yes, finally the Ferrari gets over just in time.
Oh,
Grant
no.
Wilmot. Oh, but Martin Lawrence has been spun.
That was and I don't know who that is, but they just dodged Martin going wide. You know, probably track limit one there, but rather than rear-ending Martin there. But yeah, that Porsche didn't need to do that move and almost done it again. Oh, that was so close there, Jesse. That's not what
3 wide. I don't know about this. They got to sort it out, and they finally do. A fight here back for what was 11th place Martin Lawrence, now all the way back in 19th, fighting the likes of the mid-pack now. This is not what Martin Lawrence had in order. Oh, no, and Martin Lawrence has turned somebody.
Martin just hit the same guy that just hit him, and apparently that Porsche was the same one that hit Wilmot on the first start. So a bit of yikes there, but apparently heard from our cameraman Stewie that 2 Hondas hit each other as well. But they seem to be doing okay. Yeah, poor Martin. I think Martin's closed that garage door. Jesse, he's gone.
Martin Lawrence unhappy here, and Well, I think he has a point, but also getting involved himself. You got to be careful. You get turned like that, and then you get the fog of war, I like to call it, and then you make silly mistakes yourself. I fear that Martin has done the exact thing. Well, look at this. Ben Keys qualified just inside the top 10 in qualifying. I told you to pay attention to the Nissan on the start. This car has legs, and he certainly showed it. The 904, the Luna Azul car, has driven up to P6, has Gregory Ivanov in front as we join the in-car. Look at the suck on Ben Keys!
Then this sounds fast, like, oh, that's a bit worrying to look at. But yeah, you don't really see the Nissan either. It's one of those cars that isn't great around a lot of tracks. It is probably one of the slowest cars around more than 3/4 of the tracks we have on ACC. But here it's pretty quick. Speed on the straight, just you see, gaining so much time in the slipstream. So 6th place for a Nissan's pretty good. Have to see how they handle the rest of it. 56 minutes left of the race, and a pit stop too as well. So have to see what happens there. But I noticed McCauley and Anna Rose have broken away from third place by 2 seconds. So
Rose just needs to keep in contact with Macaulay, which is what she's doing, and those two have separated themselves. Noticing Rimbaud in the 54 Porsche has fallen way back. That car qualified way ahead of where they're running now. What happened here? Killian on the inside of the final quarter, a little bit of contact, and ooh, a little bit of contact to get by there. Not uncommon, that's for sure. Gregory Ivanov looking at Max Payne. Payne in P4, trying to defend Ivanov. Behind, a little bit wide there is the Lamborghini, but doesn't matter as they're in the correct position to defend. The sharp right-hander will look in the mirror, and Ivanov will see a charging 904 Nissan of Ben Keys.
oh, that's a track cut there from Ivanov, hitting the left-hand curb a bit too much. You can do that in the dry. You can't do it in the wet because you just bounce so much you don't get the grip coming back on track. So that's got to be a track warning if I see one. But keeping in the slipstream of
This is going to get spicy. Oh, is he going to do a mobile shade move here? No, he stays left. Very predictable, a smart move. He may give him a spot. That Bentley sideways. That's going to be a position gain for Ben Keys as Ivanov did an amazing job to save that car. I don't know if I could have done that. What did it, folks? That didn't look like much on camera, but I'm going to tell you something. That was a hell of a save.
That is a clench moment right there with Simon Jesse. That's Ivanov. That amazing driving, but I think that's another track warning. Going off track like that fast, but kept it together is the main thing rather than spinning out and hitting a wall, or just spinning out and stalling the car. So well handled there. Lost a place, but it is what it is. Still behind Keys and still can get that place back. But Caracas is now behind him, with Magazi not far behind Caracas as well. So got a little train going on here.
This is what the driver sees in traffic in the wet here. It's not pouring rain, but it is still very wet. The spray and all the reduced visibility therein, as Ferrantes Caracas is trying to preserve what might be one of the most consistent runs we've ever seen in the Friday GT Challenge, but they've got some work to do. They're in P7. They need a podium spot, and well, they see the majority of those positions they need directly in front of them. The only problem is it is a Porsche, and the Porsche, a fantastic racing machine. Just the Mistral Straight is very long, and this car a little down on power in comparison to some of the other makes.
Yeah, but what it lacks on power makes up in the corners there, Jesse. Just getting in the corners, but if they can stay in the toe of someone like this, they just keep up.
This is incredible. Look at this. Is there going to be a pass as Caracas going to pull down to the inside. No, gets blocked off by Ivanov. Ivanov goes to the inside just enough to block and then comes back in front to make sure they can take the right-hander here. That was an excellent defense from Ivanov. Was that a little bit wide from the Nissan? It was in front. Keys goes a little bit wide. Ivanov takes a look down the inside. Can't quite get in there as they end up still in single file. Oh, and a little bit of a twitch from Caracas there. Folks, you're very busy driving these cars in these conditions.
Yeah, I know the Porsche, the greatest car to try and keep it straight, because you don't want to take as much downforce as you can on this track, just so you can get the speed on the straight. But in the corners, it's going to hit you hard, especially in the wet. But Cracker's making it work for the time being. But I think all he needs to do is just stay in the slipstream with this Bentley and just see what the Bentley can do with the Nissan. Staying in the slipstream is obviously working for Crackers. He's not losing any positions. He's not losing the time. Especially on the straight. That's the main thing, as we've said many times before. The Porsche is not good on the straights. As I think the 801 started in 5th, I believe, and it's down in 14th. It just keeps losing the positions on the straight. So it's just one of those. It's the Porsche life, unfortunately. A replay here. Mark. Oh,
it's Tita. Oh,
yeah. I think
contact led to a double spin there.
I think that's
that
their fault.
I
think that's their fault for cutting across there, unfortunately. But we'd have to see what the stewards say. I am not a steward, so I cannot talk. But yeah, it's so far not so bad racing. It's just waiting. I think the pit stops is the main thing that's gonna be the one that changes the game for most people. Seeing where they end up and seeing what happened. But
Barnett challenging Willamont for P9. The look around the outside might get him with the undercut here, going a little shorter around the corner. No, covered off by Willamont. Speaking of coming down pit lane, Benedetti has been down pit lane, but not for the pit stop. They got to drive through 4 track limits. That's an ACC assigned penalty. That is the first culprit of extending track limits, though we know several cars have done the very same. Could they also already be on 3 warnings? Looks like the answer will be yes. We anxiously anticipate, I wouldn't say await because we're not looking for it, but we anticipate there to be more of those penalties. Back up to P6, Ivanov, who had that incredible slide and catch, still has yet to let Caracas through and still has yet to let Ben Keys get away.
yeah, we've just got this train going on here from 4th to 7th. And Magazzi's just sitting there waiting in a second behind them. Waiting in the Honda, I guess just using that speed on the straights. I was just looking, Macaulay's 1.5 seconds from Rose, and Rose has got a gap between Savile Island for almost 2 seconds. No, yeah, 2 seconds now. So they're pretty far apart, 1st to 3rd, and then you've got this train here from 4th to just about 8th-ish. If Magazzi can gain some time back and get in the train and go in the little slipstream they got going. Yeah, it's there's a few battles going on. It's not really worked up to anything yet. We're only 12 minutes into this race, and I guess people are just trying to stay on the track and not get them track limits and trying to stay with each other and wait until people start doing pit stops and seeing when they should go in and see if they can undercut or do the overcut. But just have to wait and see what happens. Cracker's gone on the inside of Ivanov here. Too wide still, and yeah, it doesn't quite make it. Had a little wobble there. Lost him a bit of speed and a bit of grip, but there's always more chances to do it again. And corners, pretty okay corners to overtake. You just gotta make sure you don't do any contact, especially in the wet. As soon as you tap, it ends up in a spin, as we already. But yep. We haven't seen anyone come into the pit yet, so I don't think anyone's going for the starting pit. maybe go for a longer stint and then go for a short one at the end. We'll have to see about that one.
Of course, nobody has done their mandatory stop, 25-second stop with 1 liter of fuel required, 5 additional seconds, meaning a 30-second stop gets you a set of tires. I don't think anybody will be taking that today, considering the weather. But look at this, a move down into the corner. Keys thought about blocking it, decided better of it, lets Ivanov back through, will hold off Caracas, it seems, for the moment. These two have been going at it for what is essentially the 6th place position, or excuse me, the 5th place position for a while now. That's the second time it is flip-flopped back the other way. But watch this. Let's see if the GTR is able to overpower them on the straight.
Oh, that straight line
Oh,
speed.
baby!
It's such a fast car. And it's
Even
gone.
if Ben loses in sectors 1 and 3, as long as he keeps close enough, he knows he must have a shot on the Mistral straight.
Yeah, and see there, Migassi's caught up as well in the Honda, so Honda also got that straight line speed as we already know. From his qualifying sector time, he had the fastest second sector, whereas Joe McCauley had the first and third. And
Oh!
going.
Ivanov had to hit the abort button to keep from hitting the back of Keys' Nissan, and that's going to let Caracas back through. Caracas up a spot, and Ivanov now is going to start to be just a little bit furious. Giorgio Magazzi has joined the back of this train. The Honda is here now.
Yeah, just have to see what this Nissan can do when it comes back to the street again. You know, they've got Caracas behind them. Caracas will want all that slipstream, but can the Nissan just pull away as easy? Or they've got no slipstream this time. Will it just sort of just sit there? We'll have to wait and see a few more corners.
Caracas up to P6. Keys is the next target that they will have. Up front, not missing anything. Joe McCauley leads Rose by 2.3 seconds. Oh, incredibly wide there, inviting an attack down the inside. Can't quite get there as Ivanov. But for Rose is falling back off the leader a little bit here. Ghazi in the Honda. You know that they're quite quick in a straight line in this particular car. Look at them gain on the 406 Bentley of Ivanov in front. Down the Mistral straight. Defensive line around the outside. He goes to the inside a little bit. And now that will give the outside to Magazzi. Magazzi doesn't even need to go too wide through it. He's going to get the position here.
Looked like there, Magazzi, when he went into that corner, that fast right-hander, that his rear end was stepping out a little bit. I think that's why he lost a bit of time to the Bentley. I think that's why the Bentley got back through again, just because they lost a bit of speed in the slide. But we can already see Magazzi's just hit him again on a straight. That Honda has so much speed. I'd love to know what setup they're running for this and what their wing they're running, because that thing is flying.
Ghazi had the position done and dusted, but gave it back up. This battle surely will continue between the two of them. Ivanov has to be frustrated to be going backwards in the manner they are, considering how quick they seem to be. They've certainly held their own against the top 5 thus far, but just seems to be getting attacked by faster cars in a straight line. And now Magazzi going down to the inside of turn 1. Can't quite hold the inside. Ivanov back through again. Good hard racing here in mixed conditions.
Yeah, I think the problem that Magazzi has now, he just really needs to get past Ivanov, because they're fighting. They've lost quite a bit of time towards the other pack. They're in front. You see there's a bit of a gap there. You can fit a few cars in there now. Obviously the guys behind will probably be catching, because they're not really fighting. They're more following. So Magazzi's obviously going to overtake Ivanov here. That exit there was not great actually, so I might have just been I just cursed that a little bit, but yeah, Magazine really wants to get past Ivanov as quick as he can, but
Martin Lawrence, our only retirement in the race, has joined us in chat, and he is lamenting how frustrating driving the Bentley has been for him as Bagazi does make the pass again. Didn't stick the last time, but I think has enough of a gap here that will stick, but only just. Look at Ivanov continuing to try and find and work the angle, and he's going to down the inside again is Ivanov. Close race through here, and if Magazi can hang on, the next set of corners should be his, and he will do. Oh, and it's contact, and it's big contact. Magazi's gonna go around. Ivanov will go around the outside, but unfortunately will lose out to Willimont, and a very scary moment. Magazi makes contact again. Contact with another car trying to come through, and my goodness, a frustrating lap for the RDR team. Let's take a look again.
yeah, that contact there was on Magazi, just went a bit too deep. But I could see he wasn't holding his brakes or on that corner, and he was kept rolling and rolling. And I knew he was going to put his foot down a little bit to get out of the way, but he put his foot down at the wrong time and ended up taking out a blue and black Porsche. I'm not sure who that is. I think it might be Climbs, I'm guessing, but I just heard it was Rimbaud. But
Oh,
yeah,
no.
stewards are not gonna like that whatsoever. They don't like that sort of thing. He just had to wait. That's all he had to do was just sit and wait. But yeah, sucks. But you're just gonna have to take the penalty on the chin. Either carry on with the race or you know, pull the garage door down. But hopefully he carries on. It sucks, but you know, these things happen. Apparently as well, Jesse, while that was happening, the number one got his second drive-through for track limits.
Yeah, just a completely frustrating day for Benedetti, playing a game that you can't possibly win, the game against the track limits, that is, and that's the second drive-through in 20 minutes. That's not quite an RCI record, but we're flirting with it.
Yeah. One thing Magazi has on his side, if you want to think of the positives, is he's done his pit stop. So have to see where he ends up when people have done theirs. He'll be at the back. I know that already, but
I was waiting for the Ted Edwards spin on that. I was waiting for how you were going to make that okay.
Yeah, he's just got to stop and go 34 speeding in pit lane as well. So I think that's his race done there, Jesse. Unfortunately, he's not had a good race. I think it's just because he couldn't get past Ivanov in time. You know, he got past him on the straight, but couldn't hold it into the second corner of sector 3. So sucks for him, but have to see. I think he's carrying on. We have a yellow flag at the last corner as well. But yeah, the number one stopped in pit lane. Don't think they're carrying on, and yeah, guys, he's got.
This is IB Ada. I think this is what you were talking about. Let's take a look here. Contact with the 329 Porsche. And that was not what Ibiata had in mind when they went in there, surely. But it is what has happened. That was Climbs that time. Got a piece of that. You mentioned Rimbaud as the car that Magazi had contact with when Magazi was spun. Well, Rimbaud has just had a difficult race. They have free fallen through this field. They were P15 after that contact. Luckily, they've been able to get back up to where they were running in P13, but that is a far away out of the top 10, which is where they would have liked to have been. But for Magazi, you know, the incident that they had, they went from racing for a spot in the top 5 to having a stop and go 30 tail into the field. That is a bitter pill to swallow any way you slice it.
Yeah, racing at the end of the day, it's just one of those things. But yeah, sucks. I think you just move on. Notice as well, Max Payne is almost half a second from Savalainen, so look, he's got a bit of pace on his side. Savalainen did have a slow lap last lap, 201.9. I think it's been one of his slowest laps race, so not sure why that. Maybe just a bit of a slide or something for a corner, but Yeah, Max Payne is catching third place, so could be a fight going on there. And what happened here?
This was
Okay, so
Caracas on Ben Keys, and Caracas has taken the 5th place spot, and that was Keys coming into the pit lane. What an excellent time to do your pit stop.
yeah, loses position and goes, yeah, let's not fight anymore. Let's go and get my
Oh
pit done.
no, Ted!
Oh, it's always self-aligning.
Oh,
Oh, track
boy.
limits. Oh
Well,
dear.
folks, Savalainen's curse continues. When he's not winning races, he's usually getting a drive-through for track limits, and his reputation precedes him. 3rd place in the 200 AMG drive-through for, you guessed it, track limits.
Doesn't matter what championship he takes part in, he's always going to bloody track limit drive-through for something. You know, it doesn't matter what track it is, does it, Jesse? He's got many of them in Night Owl, which has ruined many of his races that he could have won. And here today, he's got one, and yeah, he's lost the position to Max Payne. Somehow, I guess, on the straight. Oh, I have found a
Something's wrong with
Savalainen.
that car. Something's got to be wrong with the 200. That's several corners that car's missed. They're driving around the outside of the racetrack in the painted area. Oh my goodness! It's a big slide.
That was so majestic, but that's not what you want to do.
Alexa, play
Oh.
Tokyo Drift.
Oh dear. I
What? Why? I have no idea what we're witnessing here. This might be Savalainen's way of throwing in the towel, waving the proverbial white flag. But this is very strange. I think we could all agree.
he needs to be careful because the stewards could deem that as dangerous driving. Even though he's off track and he's not in anyone's way, that could be something the stewards could pull up on him. You know, he should be in track limits doing a certain speed, you know, but he's just sort of off track and having a little bit of mess around or frustration, probably, be my thing. But yeah, he is now in the pit lane. Yeah, he's gone back to his pit. He's in his pit box. There he is, that there. So he has given up on the race, unfortunately, but it's always Savalainen getting those drive-throughs when he's always, you know, in a good position. But yeah, sucks.
Well, we've seen it happen. A car fighting for a top 5 in Magazi, getting a stop and go 30 when they pitted, and now a drive-through for your 3rd place car. It can happen to everyone, and it will likely happen to a few more before the day is over. Barnett here in the 256 Honda. We've documented how quick this car can be in a straight line, and they've caught Grant Willamont, which is for P6. A couple of cars have come in for a routine stop, and they've done it without further incident. Keys leads that group. Astita in the 96, another one of those. Killian in the 276 has also come in. They are currently behind Magazi, but of course Magazi has the stop and go 30, which they are serving at the moment. Barnett, though, continuing to fight inside the top 10. Can see Ivanov in front, who just got a drive-through of their own.
About to say, did you see that, Jesse? Because that is, I believe that's track limits again. We had nothing from the stewards, so unless they're just reviewing incidents and taking their time just to make sure that they're getting it right. But yeah, Billen's got a drive-through, Ivan's got a drive-through, everyone's got a drive-through.
And Climbs here. The second time Climbs has had contact through that section of the track. Climbs is going to be a little bit tired of that same song. Oh, this is always dangerous. Usually in endurance races, you have 30, 40 cars. That can be very dangerous to pit out here at Paul Ricard. Climb's able to get through, no incident there, but we've seen it in the past. Seen it with Mike Noble, in fact. Saw Mike Noble, one of the first cars actually, that wasn't here, that was at Imola, but even still, same thing. The dangerous pit out, and do remember Mike Noble going up and over after leaving the pit lane. A car didn't see them exiting pit lane, and a huge crash. I have seen crashes here in the past as well. Speculation going on in chat as to what was up with Savalainen's car. That was very strange. It was very un-Savalainen-esque. So you could argue that it could have been hardware related, something amiss with that car that was causing the erratic behavior, because that's not Savalainen. I can tell you Savalainen has become our second car that has retired from the race. Benindetti is sitting in the pit lane, and they have been doing for quite some time, the last 8-10 minutes at least. They've not officially retired from this race, but at this point, they will not complete 80% of the race. They will not get points either way. So even if they sit there, that will still be considered a DNF.
Yeah, you got to finish 85. I think it's 85% of the race leader laps. So whatever the leader sets, you divide that by 85%, or however that works. I forgot. Can't do maths, Jesse. Not like you, but yeah, 85% of them laps you've got to complete. So yeah, if he just sits there and doesn't do his drive-through and doesn't do any more laps, then he won't be finishing this race within the rules, I think. So that's not going to go well. But anyway, we've still got a few more people that are racing. We've got Keller going after Verstappen. I'm about to say Verstappen, then, but that's the wrong person. Wrong racing. Long day. Yeah, there's not many. There's not. Well, I think we've got Barnett and Wilmot up in 5th and 6th out of fighting, but apart from that, everyone's really spread out. Pit stops have caused that, and just pace alone has caused that with the top three. Obviously, Payne was behind Savalainen, but is now seen in third due to what had happened a few minutes ago. But Rose is just losing time on Macaulay every lap, so yeah, just Macaulay's got that pace, about half a second a lap. Macaulay's just chomping away, just leaving Rose in the dust, or in the water if you like. But Barnett in the hunt, doing a great job to follow this Porsche.
I think Barnett has a little bit more grip, and this might be the scheduled pit stop for Barnett. It is the 256 Honda in the pit lane. Caracas is able to come in as well with Payne in tow, and so is Verstappen, all coming in around the midway point. This is what we normally see these days in ACC. That at the halfway point, there'll be almost no tire strategy today, considering the weather. The weather has been consistent since the drop of the green flag. The track very wet, 24 degrees C, and no change in the weather for the past hour or so. And we won't see one by the end of today's race. You mentioned Honora Rose's pace, or therefore lack of, in comparison to Macaulay. Rose was able to keep up with Macaulay for the first 5 or so laps, but the second she lost the draft, this car has lost its pace, and I think that has something to do with the straight line speed of the BMW.
Yeah, I haven't driven the new M4. Well, I say new. It's it's been in the game a few months now, but I haven't driven it since it first came out, so I'm not sure what the pace is now. Game updates, and I might have tweaked it a little bit. I'm not sure what it's like. Obviously, Macaulay's in the new Audi, so that probably still needs a bit of tweaking if they haven't fully got that a balance, if you like. But I'm not saying it isn't. I know it is fast, as we said before, but maybe the M4 around here is just overall slower than the Audi. We know the Audi's good in the straight line and it's good around corners. So roads coming into the pit lane now. Over half the grid have done their pit stops, but yeah, I have noticed someone else has gone, Jesse, and it's not the number one.
No, it's not. It's the 276. That's Killian. That Mercedes has left the racetrack. Unsure exactly what happened with the 276, but Killian Guit has left the racetrack from the third DNF today. And we're talking about some cars that were doing well. One of them is Verstappen. Just want to go back to the 747. Remember, that Bentley was caught up in the initial crash today, and they would have been somewhere around 15th, I think, but the restart saved them. And look at this, racing inside the top 10. Speaking of Verstappen,
Oh,
got
bit
Ben
slick on them
Keys all
curves.
over him.
Oh, he's really sliding that rear. Oh, and straight through goes Barner in the Honda. So yeah, it's a bit slidey that rear end of that Bentley. So I'm guessing low downforce just to keep straight line speed, and he does need it against that Honda. So, but Verstappen is now in the slipstream of the Honda, so it'd probably be a bit easier for him on the straights, just to keep up. So have to see if Verstappen can get it back in the corners. The Ferrari will not come out of the pit lane. It's joining, doing too wide through the first corner and almost the second, but Verstappen backs out there. So now
This might
Verstappen
be
has
pivotal
different
for
car.
Willamot to
Yeah.
keep this spot for the time being, and I think he's just been able to do it. But very strange, those cars were running nose to tail, and still Willamot able to split the two of them.
Yeah, superb driving by all three drivers there. You know, could have been a nasty incident. You know, the pit exit here is horrible. Obviously, you give way to the car that is coming out of the pit lane, but you know, going to the first corner when you're off your racing line is not ideal. But it's just one of those things that you just got to adapt when you see a car come out there. But you know, your little spotter gives you a big old warning. There's a car coming out of the lane of the pit, so you're always ready for it. Yeah, superb driving by all three drivers there.
Well, the race continues. 25 minutes left. Joe McCauley is in the pit lane. So is Keller in the 27 BMW. Will McCauley win his first race of the season and become the 5th different driver to win a race? Nobody has won 2 races. Nobody has even really been too awfully close to doing so. You might argue the closest of all of them is Caracas with all the 3rd places, or I guess you could also argue McCauley's finished 2nd 3 times, but nevertheless, could today be Joe's day? You want to talk about an important win for McCauley, leading this championship by 19 points. A win today would mean a lot. Basically would mean coming into the final race next week, all he would have to do is finish somewhere vaguely near the top 5 in that race to secure a championship. Anything less than a win today puts him on notice for the final race. He's certainly, though, been the best of all the cars that are contesting for the championship. There again, the very dangerous pit lane exit there. But thankfully, once again, everybody able to get through. Verstappen concentrating on Willamot and Barnett in front of them, all racing for a top 10 spot.
Yeah, we find ourselves with that little train again there. Yeah, 3 cars just seeing where they can overtake, and you know, it's a difficult track. This the first sector you probably can overtake someone, but then in the second when you come onto the straight, you've got someone in your slipstream and they're just gonna fly on by like they've just added another 100 horsepower. So it's one of those things where towards the end of the race you got to think, right, how can I make this work in my favour? Do I need to be behind the person on the straight and get past them hopefully before the end of the straight, going into the corner? Can I be in front of them for the 3rd sector and come across the line in front of them? Can I just play defensive through the 3rd sector if I can get past them on the straight? It's just playing, just think about it strategically, and how you can just be, in a better position over the guy in front.
Grimbald has brought the 54 Porsche down the pit lane. That was the last of the cars that had yet to pit, and that will reset the running order throughout as Macaulay has come through to retake the lead of the race. And here's Gruntus Caracas, who finds themselves behind Keys again. Now, keep in mind, Caracas had gotten by Keys right before Keys pitted earlier, and that pit stop has done wonders for Keys as they've been able to get back out in front of the 19 Porsche.
Yeah, that pit stop by Keys was 3.5 seconds faster. I just heard as well. Everyone's changed tyres apart from Keys, so that's it's pretty
Now,
big there, Jesse.
Now, I wouldn't have thought you would have changed tires here regardless, but everyone has elected to do so. They've taken longer pit stops to do that. Maybe they're seeing more wear and time loss in the tires, and they've elected to do that. I can't imagine in a wet race, in a 1 hour wet race, why you would have to change tires if if you're not required to.
Yeah, because it's weird. Because looking here, Max Payne's pit stop was 1 minute 5.6, and Ben was 1 minute 2 dead. So he gained quite a bit of time in that stop. As we can see, he's under a second now, chasing down the Lamborghini, which before Payne had a quite comfortable gap between him and whoever was in fourth place at the time. I think it was Keith still, but yeah, that's a big thing to happen. The Nissan.
I just want to ask. I want to ask somebody who pitted, somebody who took tires, and somebody who didn't, and say, why did you or didn't you do this? Because for me, in my head, coming into today, it was quite simple. No, we're not going to change tires because it's raining, and you can get a solid hour out of a treaded Pirelli tire. But they must be seeing something different if the majority of the field have elected to take tires.
I guess some people probably either their tires are overpressured or maybe underpressured. That's why they took tires. And maybe Ben is just really comfortable on the tires he has. We've seen he's gained a lot of positions in that Nissan, so he's still knocking time off Max. So he's obviously doing something right.
Well, a moment ago, I had a word with the stewards. You'll notice we have not brought you a single steward's decision thus far. And the reason for that is they have been backlogged with a lot of the early incidents that they had to get through. And you're just now starting to see inside the final 20 minutes some of the penalties from the very early laps into the races. They were inundated with penalties and reviews. So it's taken them quite a long time to get to this point, but here they are, and I'm going to give them a minute. I mean, we can take a look at it if you like, but I'm pretty confident they're not done. We'll start it off with the lap 1 turn 14 incident between the 171 and the 1. 5-second penalty for car 171 for hitting the back of the 1, causing the 1 to lose places. Racing incident between the 505 and the 1. 5-second penalty for car 276 for hitting the curb and sending the 946 off the track. That car, I believe, has since retired. Racing incident between the 747 and the 54. Racing incident between the 1 and the 505. Racing incident minor contact between the 96 and the 505. 5-second penalty for car 134. Avoidable contact with the 406 on lap 9. 15-second penalty for car 505. Going too deep, hitting car 329. The position was returned, that back on lap 10. Warning for car 329, forcing the 183 off track in turn 12. And that's all I've got so far, but I'm pretty confident they're not done yet.
There's quite a few there, but quite a few racing incidents, which is nice to see. There are only minor contacts which we allow, just a bit of rubbing, but yeah, it's just a few incidents going out there, but Ben still is gaining time to Max, so I think Max is feeling that pressure right now.
Another additional thing to talk about, we talked about the 505 and his 15-second penalty, but Magazi also had a penalty, but that's being covered up by a stop and go 10. In addition to that, I'm pretty sure that stop go 10, that is an ACC assigned penalty for something. I don't exactly know what, but that's not usually something we would award here, and it certainly hasn't shown up on the sheet. So Magazi's day, just to recap, has went from fighting for top 5 to running basically a lap off the pace in 18th place. Several penalties, stop and go variety for the 134, as we see Max Payne, who is trying to go around and will get past here by the GTR. That was an incredible move around the outside. Payne down to P4, Ben Keys up to third. What a race and what a day for the GTR. Ted, this car has been so good all season. Racing inside the top 10 has been Keys. They just haven't had quite the finishes they deserve. They've been involved in a couple accidents, but today, in a track like this is all set up for Ben Keys for success, and he's done that here today.
Yeah, he's done so well in that Nissan. I think I know what car I can drive here now, but based on how he's done today. So yeah, amazing job from him. And I just noticed as well, 96. What a drive-through, and I believe that is full track limits.
You would absolutely be right. Nothing on the stewarding sheet at this point, so that is another track limits drive-through. Bastita's day, fighting for a top 10 spot, will unfortunately come to an end 16 minutes away from the checkered flag. And I will mind you, Ted Edwards, years ago, right, back when you were a young Ted Edwards, Nissan GTR won the 12 hours of quality car.
Did it? Oh, nice. Problem is though, the Nissan is a 2015 car against all these younger cars, so kind of doing very well.
Old man showing them how to do it.
Yeah.
Fun racing here. Caracas isn't done. What an up and down day Caracas has had. Losing positions, gaining positions, fighting for everything. The highest running portion. Basically, Max Payne has gone completely off the racetrack, and that is going to nullify that. And Caracas is going to get P4, but that off-track excursion by Max Payne has given them a drive-through penalty. Barnett has a drive-through penalty in the 256 as well. Oh my God, it's mayhem in the final 15.
You have a drive-through. You have a drive-through. Everyone gets a drive-through.
I was gonna make that joke and I pulled up, but I'm glad somebody made that joke.
How many drive-throughs have we had today? There's been so many, and it's just this wet weather as well. You know, you're pushing. You know, Max is obviously under pressure. He wants that third place back, and he just pushed a bit too much. But you know, he went off track coming onto the straight there, and the Caracas did give him the room to come back on. He did see that he was cutting the track coming back on with the little boards that will tell you, you know, you've got to get back on before them as you get a warning. But yeah, Caracas tried letting back on, but Max couldn't get across quick enough, so that really sucks. And yeah, the Honda, you know, Barnett got drive through as well at the same time, I think. So that sucks for them two drivers. They're going to drop down the order quite a bit. So, you know, the Ferrari's going to move up, Verstappen's going to move up, Keller's going to move up.
Oh, sideways is Verstappen, and that's going to allow Nicholas Keller down the inside, but didn't quite have it as the tight corner. No, he's still there, look. He's still beside him just barely as they finally get clear, but Verstappen left the door open in the final turn there, but for a brief moment. Everyone be very careful of the track limits here. To answer your question, Ted, I have written down 7 different drive-throughs thus far.
Oh, that's quite a few drive-throughs, but yep, it's a wet track and pushing so hard that you ride off. So just one of those things that happens. But yeah, so Payne has done his drive-through. He's sitting, it says in 9th, so 10th. Yeah, he's dropped a lot, but Barnett didn't come in. He's still going around. You know, he's got another 2 laps before he gets another penalty. I don't know if it's a DQ that the game will give him, but he'll pit before then. Obviously, it'll be silly for him not to. I got bad news. Oh, what now?
We've had an 8th drive-through penalty. Giorgio Magazi has got themselves a drive-through penalty after clearing the stop and go 10.
Yeah, Magazi, stop. You're hurting yourself. You've had too many, too
Oh,
many penalties today. What's
these two are
happening?
absolutely going at it. Verstappen is not going to allow Keller through. Keller doesn't care. Keller is driving like a man possessed, getting as close as he possibly can to the back of Verstappen's Bentley. And these are two of the big boy cars, if you will, very large and in charge. And Keller is backing up his entry so that on every exit he can try and put pressure on the back of the 747. And I don't think it's working. I don't think Verstappen's paying too much attention to the pressure, so to speak. Verstappen is just trying to put his car on every apex. He's not even maximizing the corners as Verstappen. He's just using the inside of every corner because he knows as long as he parks on the apex, Ted Edwards, Keller can't do anything.
Yeah, that's the thing. Keller needs to run out the corners to get past Verstappen. So Verstappen's doing a good job at defending. You know, and Verstappen's a very good driver. I've seen him drive in a lot of races, and he does pull out some good finishes. So he's doing some work there. Yeah, we've had another driver leave. It was the 96, and apparently it was a game crash. So that's not gone well for them, unfortunately. Like Batista. So yeah, that's like the worst. I think that's worse than the penalty, Jesse. That's worse than the
Yeah.
drive-through. You know, because you can't do nothing about it. You know, they can join back, but it's one of those, you're join back and you have to, you know, load your setup again, which isn't too bad, but you've got to wait for the game to let you drive out your pit box again. So I don't see them coming back, which sucks, but it'll go down as a drop round, so that saves them there.
Oh, look at this,
And you
going
see,
down to the inside. Verstappen blocks all the way to the inside. Maybe a little bit of contact there. Keller getting as close as you like, trying to find any sort of space. Nearly losing it as Keller, as Verstappen is clear for just a little bit. There might have been a little bit of contact between the two of them. And my goodness, it's all kicking off here with about 10 minutes. Ivanov, who was up in the top 10 earlier in the race, fell down through the ranks looking to get one back from Xavier Rimbaud. And maybe
oh
a little bit of
no,
contact there sideways. They save it and they continue. And it will be a spot for Ivanov, at least for the moment. I'm concerned, by the way, for the 256 Honda. I think that car has to serve its penalty this lap. And in fact, they are in. I was counting the laps for the Honda. They had to serve it this lap or be disqualified. You get 3 laps to do it. And they certainly waited to the last possible second, but alas, Barnett is in the pit lane.
I was just watching Rimba there and the little tap from Ivanov, and I'm just thinking, stop bullying Rimba, poor guy. You know, he got hit earlier by Magazzi. Magazzi was trying to join back on track. He was half in a corner sideways and rolled forward and tapped in. So poor guy. Oh, apparently that was start 1, but you know, it's still one of those things. But he's 12th place. He can always get the 11th back. He's got just under 9 minutes now. You know, he has the slipstream. It's just push things in a straight line. It's not great, and it looks like he has a bit of damage there on the back right panel as well. So let's see if he can get a good slipstream here. He's a little bit far back for 6th attempt, so have to see.
But to finish up your earlier point, we're interrupted by the battle, but you talk about Bastida and not being able to finish a race. There's nothing worse than having the willingness to finish a race, even if it's not gone your way, but then being cruelly denied seeing the finish, even though maybe the race isn't exactly what you had in mind. But just getting to the finish of a race on days where it's not gone well is an achievement unto itself, and to be denied that, Bastida, our hearts go out to you. Thanks for letting us know, and hopefully the final race of the season does go better for you. Well, 7.5 minutes left to go. This is the nearest battle towards the front for P6. Verstappen in the 747 Bentley has driven all the way into that spot. Nicholas Keller is trying to contest that position. Well, they certainly have done everything but crash up to this.
Don't curse them, Jesse. Jeez. What are you trying to do?
Hmm? I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just saying they've rubbed, they've ran in the back of each other, they've been side by side, they've swapped positions, they've done everything but crash.
Well, you're just pointing out facts there, Jesse. And can't tell you off for that one until it does happen, then I will tell you off. But
Sure.
yeah, you got these two. Go on.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Fair enough. Yeah, Keller's sticking half a second with Verstappen. You see the 801 as well, just over a second behind in the Porsche. So if these two keep fighting, then the Porsche will come barreling up, and there will be a three-way fight for 6. But side by side coming to the end of the straight. See who comes out on top here. Hopefully no contact.
Oh, baby, that camera angle makes that look really close. The best way I can describe this to folks at home that may not be familiar, it's chess at 280 Ks.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And let's see there, Jesse. Magassi has a stop and go 30.
Oh, Magazzi has a stop go 30. Keller's going to have a little bit of a spin here. Is going to be able to save it. But was that the last shot? Was absolutely digging, trying to get as much around the corner as they possibly could. Went for a little bit too much and bounded up under braking, but did not loop it, saved it. Keller might still somehow have a shot on Verstappen, but Magazzi, like you said, another stop and go. That's 3 stop and goes in one race. That might be a record for a 1 hour race.
Yeah, and he's only a lap down or so. So I don't know how he's doing it, but yeah, Keller getting that big old slide on there, and Riccatelli now closed the gap by 6 tenths and 6 tenths behind, well in the slipstream straight. It's the fight has changed. Verstappen has a bit of breathing room, knowing that Riccatelli probably. That he hopes Riccatelli can catch up on the straight to Keller and challenge him, and Verstappen will just sort of walk away with 6th place. Just have to wait and see. The portion of the straight line isn't great, and 8 tenths back now is sort of just outside of the slipstream. So they had a good exit here. They might be able to gain a bit of speed, a bit of time, but. Still got 4.5 minutes left. Anything can happen.
Well, the 5-head move here, Ted, is if you are Riccatelli, is to help Keller catch Verstappen, because if you have to know, if you're Riccatelli, yeah, you might get Keller, but you'll never get Verstappen in the time left. But if you draft Keller and give him a little bit of your speed, you could potentially get up there and you could get 2. So that's the smart move. But I don't know, can Keller get back up there? It's going to be a tall ask. He gained 2 tenths in that sector, but lost a tenth the sector before, so a net of 1/10 gained. It might be a bridge too far. This is Joe McCauley. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the proud Scotsman and the FFS Racing Audi, he has led every lap today, barring the ones that were led during the exchange of pit stops. And of course, he has the Speed Juice Fastest Lap of the Race award. It was very close in the first 10 minutes between himself and Honora Rose, but has since then put a hurting on the field. Nearly 10 seconds the gap back to P2. McCauley has never failed to finish second in this race, or in this series, I should say. Today, though, he might break that streak in a positive way by ascending to the top step of the podium. Fingers crossed, 3 minutes left, no drive-throughs.
His last lap was his fastest lap at 2 minutes .750, so he's still got a lot of speed in there. He's just driven away this race, kept it clean. I don't think he's got any track limit warnings. I haven't really seen him go off or anything like that, so he's just doing some good driving there and You know, Rose is just sitting, trying to, keep that second place, and has had a massive gap to the other drivers. Max Payne was in third at one point. Savalainen was third at one point as well, and you kept the gap between those drivers. But if Keys had like another half an hour, I think he'd be fighting Rhodes because he has knocked off quite a bit of time since he's been in third. So it's a shame that Keys didn't qualify that high up. Else I think Ben could have been on for a probably not a win, but at least a second place.
All credit to Honor Rose. Absolutely deserves second place. Was in the fight very early, and this will help them in the championship. Was just hanging around in the championship, and I think today will be a shot in the arm. Already has a win in the series. Will now get another podium today. And Caracas, can't say enough about Caracas in particular. That car start was well down the order, is driven back to fourth. They will likely fall shy of third place unless they can make up that 1.25 seconds to Keys and get that spot. Caracas, with all the third places that they've had, all 4 races in third place, they needed to get up the field, and they certainly have done. That will preserve the championship fight into the final round next week.
Yeah, they've all done so well in today's race. Obviously people have had penalties and it's helped them out a bit, but this is really gonna change some of the standings for some of the drivers. Ben Keys down in 10th for the minute in the standings is going to gain a lot of points that will help him, and obviously Savalainen's not in it no more, so he's not going to gain any points. So this is massive for some drivers, and obviously not so big for other drivers. But if you keep driving, you're gonna get them points, and that's what Keys has done. That's what Crackers has done. That's what Milmot has done. That's what Verstappen's done. So I think all these drivers, deserve where they finished today.
I think you made mention of this earlier, Ted, and we do have some more stewards reports as the leader is on the final lap of the race. But the 747 Verstappen car was given a warning for multiple defensive moves on the straight leading to turn 10. I think you may have mentioned something about the weaving, or maybe that was our broadcaster Stewie, but either way, they were given a warning for excessive weaving, and there was also a racing incident between the 747 and the 27, those both on lap 24. I do know the stewards are still working, which usually means I get to say my least favorite catchphrase: pending post-race penalty.
Yeah, the stewards don't mind if you're defended into a corner, but when you're weaving down a straight, trying to break that slipstream is not the greatest of things to do. You're not going to break the slipstream. You might as well just accept your fate and or take the defensive line going into the corner, or if it's at the start of the straight, just letting them go past and you get the slipstream. So it's just one of those things. You rarely see it, but when you do, one of those things really. But yeah, last lap. Where is Macaulay? In the third sector as we speak, so he'll be finishing in first place, a 10-second gap to Rose. Don't think anything will happen before something does happen and get told off.
That would be an absolute disaster if that happened. These cars just now taking the white flag, the last lap of the race. Meanwhile, Macaulay in Sector 3 coming around the final few turns. And just what a race as Gregory Ivanov is sitting in the pit lane. And that's interesting. That car was in P12. They won't get to finish there. But for Joe Macaulay, it was a season where he hadn't won. Runner-up in every race, a bridesmaid no more. Joe Macaulay wins it in the rain at Paul Ricard. And Honor Rose comes home a brilliant second place and kept Macaulay earnest all day. Ben Keys, though, my goodness, the Luna Azul 904 Nissan GTR, showing them what an old car can do, will take home third after a brilliant run through the top 10. Nicholas Keller finally gets that pass on Verstappen. Verstappen goes incredibly wide. Keller is able to get through the crack in the armor. The little bit of hope that he was looking for, he finally found. After a slide of his own, he gets it done. Keller's going to get the spot.
Yeah, fantastic driving by Keller just to take advantage of Verstappen's slide and takes home seconds. Sorry, sixth, and Verstappen takes home seventh, and then we see Riccatelli take it eighth and Payne taking ninth, followed by Rinband in 10th and Barnett in.
Well, I can tell you, not a post-race penalty, but the 406 was given a 5-second penalty for hitting the 54 earlier in the race. That on lap 24. And, of course, we saw that car in the pit lane before that occurred. So there you have it. The final finishers coming across the line. Bagazi, what a day they've had. The most amount of stop-and-go penalties I've ever seen in a race. And immediately pulling the car over. Look at this. I can't tell if this is in appreciation or disgust. It's hard to, I'm not up on my race car mating calls, but that didn't seem violent. So I wonder if maybe that was just, hey, good race.
Yeah, I would say that was hey, good race. Them two raced so well today. The other will come across the line with Billen, 15th and 16th. Yeah, I think it was just, hey, nice race. I messed up at the end there. You got the position. Well done.
Well, the final finishing positions confirmed here, pending post-race penalties, of course. Joe McCauley ran a fantastic race. Nobody could catch him. He has the Speed Juice fastest lap. That'll be maximum points today, 72 to him. It will be hard to beat him in the final round in 1 week. Honor Rose gave it her best in the 56 BMW, second place, and Ben Keys, my star of the race. If I had to give driver of the day, I would give it to Keys in the 904. Drove through the top 10, did it the hard way on the racetrack, and gets rewarded with a podium in the old timer GTR. Caracas and Willamont, your top 5. Keller, Verstappen, Riccatelli, Payne, and Rimbaud, your top 10. The rest of the finishers across your screen now. What a rain-filled race we had. We had a restart early, Ted, but we were treated to some fantastic racing. My goodness, that means Wolf Matushka was right. It is great to race here.
Well, yeah, I didn't think it was, but apparently it is, and I sort of want to do a race here now. I sort of want to do an endurance race here, Jesse, so yeah.
Well, that's just going to about do it for us today. Of course, the season finale in 1 week's time will be in Boulder for the final race of the season, and we will crown a champion here in the pro class on that date. Of course, tomorrow, no night owl. So you've had your fill of Ted and me for the week. I'm afraid to tell you, we're going to be back with you tomorrow for the 6 hours of Barcelona, the continuation of the RCI World Tour. And we'll be there at the start with you. We hope to see you when that race starts. Don't forget to hit the bell, like, subscribe, do all the things. Make sure you're here when we go live for the 6 hours of Barcelona. Qualifying was awesome, by the way. If you're looking for some light viewing before then, I suggest watching the qualifying session. It was very spirited indeed. Race should be very similar to that. Of course, next week, the British Masters Championship on Monday, the Thursday race as well, the Thursday Championship with GT4s and touring cars, race number 1 and 2, because they were both the same weekend at Barcelona, was electric. A lot of passing. Our broadcaster was frustrated with his race result, but it was damn interesting to watch. Of course, a reminder, any of the ongoing championships you can sign up for mid-season. You don't have to wait for the next season. Jump into pre-queue and get into a race or a season already in progress. Go to racerci.com for all the information on how to do that. And of course, a big thank you to our partners that make this race and every race possible. RaceDepartment.com, your source of sim racing news and information. AK Informatica for providing our server solutions. Driver 61, You can get 25% off your driver coaching by going to driver61.com and using our discount code in the description of the video. Driver coaching has made several of our staff members here better drivers, and I can vouch for that personally. They have the trophies to prove it. Fanatec and Fanatec.com. When you make purchases of Fanatec equipment at Fanatec.com, feel free to use our affiliate link. It doesn't cost you anything. It tells you that we sent you, and it may help us with things like server cost when you use it. And of course, simracing.gp. If you're tired of pub racing or can't get enough sim racing, you can join simracing.gp, join a community, and get racing on the regular today. Of course, signing up to simracing.gp is completely free. What a race we had. And well, we do have one interview from our second place finisher. Get right to that. Rose, I gotta say, it was a spirited battle at the front, but what did you need to beat Joe McCauley today?
I honestly have no idea. I'm not sure if it was a lack of skill on my part, if it was just the Audi that's better here, but yeah, insane pace from. I had nothing for him. Actually, isn't he Scottish?
He is, yes.
Ah, that would explain things. Yes.
Because he's good in the rain?
Yeah, the Scottish and British people in general are just better in the rain. Like us French Northerners, we're good with the rain. We're familiar with it, but British people are just on another level. Let's be real here.
Well, Rose, did you enjoy your trip back home?
Yeah, it was nice. Makes things complicated for next week, title-wise, but yeah, it was nice. No trouble
Well,
race.
According to my math, you still have a shot, and you gave him a run for his money at the beginning of the race. You stayed with him. Did you just lose the handling a little bit, or was he just that much quicker that he was able just to pull away?
No, he was that much quicker. Once he got me out of the toe, that was it. I could not keep. Just on average, like 3/10 per lap. Fine.
Well, what's your plan for the finale? I'm pretty confident you still have a mathematical shot going
Yeah,
into
I
Zolder.
do.
So what's the game plan?
Uh, Go as hard on the curbs as possible. The car can take them. The M4 is decent at Zolder, I know that. I don't know about the Audi. I know the Bentley is insane as well there. So possibly someone to play troublemaker. Yeah. Ideally today I would have liked to not lose points to Joe, but that is what it is. There's still a chance, but it's gonna be.
I I love it. Not giving up, but Ted is Rose. Rose is still going to go for it in the final race. Do you have anything for our second place finish?
To be honest, you did very well to only finish 10 seconds by Joe McCauley. Like after losing the slipstream, the toe, yeah, very well done and very well not to get any drive-throughs today.
Thanks.
Well, Rose, you have a shot to win the championship next week. You've already told us what your game plan is, and I'm personally a fan of it. Good luck in the final race. We're rooting for you.
Thank you. See you next week.
Sure will. I love that. McCauley has one good race. Honor doesn't care. Honor says, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to hit the curbs as much as possible. I'm going to set up the car to destroy the racetrack, basically. And I think that's all Rose can do. But I love that, and McCauley has to know that nobody behind them, even though this was a fantastic win for Joe today, nobody is giving up hope. Well, Ted Edwards, we saw a wet race here. We saw a lot of passing. We saw a lot of penalties as well, most of them not handed out by the stewarding department today. Should we expect something similar to that in Zolder? I think we might. Ted, as always, thank you for being with me, stepping in for Les Stevenson this week. Always a pleasure to have you in the box.
It's always a pleasure to be here, Jesse.
Well, folks, that's just going to do it for us today. On behalf of the entire broadcast team, I've been Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards and Stewie in the box, the admin staff, and the stewards alike. We thank you for watching today's broadcast. Don't forget the 6 hours of Barcelona in the World Tour tomorrow night. We would love to have you join us for that. But for us, we're done, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night.